Just 2 months since one of the largest wildfires in state history for California also became the deadliest and most destructive that have been out there on Monday. And nearly 20,000 structures were destroyed. With all that's left, you can see here is twisted metal. Unfortunately, memories that will be remembered for a lifetime. And we have been following this story for you. You got into town. What was the reaction just seeing this for the first time?
Well, when I drove into town, you could just start seeing it. I was expecting to see, seeing wildfires and just trees gone everywhere and everything destroyed. That wasn't the case here. It was driving into town. It was just the structures were destroyed as far as you could see, and driving for miles and miles of nothing but homes and businesses destroyed, nothing but metal left in its place. But the trees were scorched like 20 feet up, and all the houses and everything underneath that level was just absolutely obliterated.
Not a lot of people are in that town right now, as we were talking about, and it makes it tough because you were out in the area and something happened to your car, and trying to find help was nearly impossible.
Yeah, normally after a disaster like that where you have a big area impacted, 2 months later you see a ton of traffic. It's always gridlocked because of all the people coming in to help rebuild and remove stuff. But it was kind of eerie when I drove into town. It was empty. It was like nobody there. So utility workers, about it. As far as the businesses and places open, there's very few places remaining, and the ones that are remaining, very few of them are open. It was, I got a nail in my tire, just a simple thing like a nail in my tire. I had to go try and get a patch, and of course I pull up Google Maps and pull up Tire Shop, and the first three I go to are burned to the ground. I finally found one. Fortunately, it was open. They were very kind and got it fixed quick for me. But just little things like that is very difficult in town. There's just not much left.
Brandon, the fire started on November 8th, and within the first 6 hours, it burned through this town that you're seeing here on your screen, Paradise, California. This was a very wind-driven fire, but...
Yeah, we saw some of the video of people trying to escape. It was very dramatic, but when you drive in to see the remains, it's heartbreaking. It's about the only way to put it. You just see people's homes and lives, were completely destroyed and some lives lost. It was a very fast-moving fire, like you said, wind-driven. That's why the trees were scorched 20 feet up but weren't burned all the way. The fire was basically moving sideways because the wind was driving it so hard.
And Brandon, we have about 30 seconds left. For people moving forward, I mean, you're out there, you're seeing everything for firsthand. These images, I mean, this is something people need to know. If you live in an area that's prone to a wildfire, it can happen anytime into the most unsuspecting places.
There's a guy there who said that he thinks this is probably the worst fire in California history. And I was like, no way. You can't really see anything. I mean, you can't even see the next hillside. But you could just tell that right away that this was chaos trying to get out. You would see cars on the side of the road that had been burned over.
It was like a movie set, like where cars are crashed into poles, cars are crashed against each other, they're crushed.
I knew it was bad when I saw a CHP cruiser with its airbags deployed, just sitting there in this canyon with a bunch of burned cars all around it. Bulldozer tracks going through the middle of the road where they had actually pushed the cars off to make room to get people out.
Paradise Ember, a mile out in front. Another fire will start a mile in front of the main fire, and it'll just suck the main fire to that one, and it'll just like keep growing and growing and growing that way until it's just a out of control monster.
And
it burned through so fast that you can see on the tree line, it goes up 20 feet through the trees. All the trees are still standing, but the fire went through so fast that the trees made it and the houses are gone.
Well, I covered the Tubbs Fire in Santa Rosa and the Atlas Fire in Napa, which are on CAL FIRE's list of deadliest fires in California.
Elderly people that lived out there, and as it turned out, the majority of the people that died were seniors.
And a bomb had dropped in the area. And the other thing that struck me when I was driving through the scene was that all that was left of homes were chimneys. That was it, basically.
Your members nearly all of whom, by the way, are volunteers. I was talking to a sergeant from the El Dorado team, the one kind of law enforcement officer, the one staff guy who is running this crew, and he said, this is the height of character. I mean, the character that people show is just incredible. They're volunteers, retired high school principals, full-time moms, SMUD engineers, and weekend warriors, basically men and women who spend their weekend in the Sierra backpacking and hunting and fishing, so they've got this skill set. Be meticulous. I was with one group where they were going through a large mobile home park, and all of the tin roofs on these mobile homes had kind of collapsed, and so they were going one by one and lifting up the roofs of these mobile homes. And then maybe they didn't get it out of bed. You go toward the front of the house, near the door. Okay, that's where you work from there. Did they try to get out of the house? And you just kind of look for those kinds of clues, and often that's where you're finding these people. These search and rescue teams went to these homes knowing that the people probably didn't make it. And so it's not like there's a shock element to it. And so from their perspective, they're trying to find closure.
It's a real nice house. I loved it. I got to design the inside myself. I was really happy there.
He has plans for the house his mobile home that burned down. So he's basically said, well, I'm just going to take it to a place where they can manufacture this and they'll do it all over again. His sister wasn't that way. I think she wants to move out. But it was pretty...
They're sifting through the ash, and every once in a while, they found her coffee mug with her name on it. And then she had a penny collection, and she found a big mound of pennies kind of melted together. And then a random plate, a charred old typewriter that she had, that kind of thing.
No, I'm afraid there's nothing left worth.
Another that we can't imagine living anywhere else.
More and more in these places.
Fires can happen really, really fast, and it used to.
And so we'll see over the next few years to what extent they rebuild and how they rebuild.
All Eddie Brinson could do was look for what may have survived in his once proud two-story home.
When I got to the house,
He and his wife had held out hope their home of 15 years would survive. She got out with her young grandson the morning of the fire. He was working in the Bay Area. All that is salvageable are some metal pieces of artwork amongst the ruins. Across the street, a much different story for Tim Proctor and his dog Raleigh. Their home withstood the campfire inferno. A work car, the only thing destroyed. You can see how close the flames came to Tim's house here. As you can see right here on the ground, black. And then it raced all the way over here, right under the staircase, and then finally stopped. Through 27 years of mom and dad's life memories, hoping to find something intact, but most is lost forever.
A lot of
Parents won't rebuild. They're moving to be closer to a son in Nevada.
But you could just tell that right away that this was chaos. But you could just tell that right away that this was chaos. But you could just tell that right away that this was chaos.